Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of GodSaw's Turnbuckle, the wrestling podcast here on YouTube and Daily Motion. We are currently in the works of trying to get a couple of other areas going and see if we can extend the podcast even further down the line here, but that's gonna be for down the road. This GodSaw's Turnbuckle is going to focus around WWE Extreme Rules 2017, and honestly, for the most part, this pay-per-view, if it wasn't named Extreme Rules, first of all, if it wasn't named Extreme Rules, I felt like the pay-per-view was actually quite good. Many of the matches were very enjoyable, and then there's also a little bit of weirdness in there as well. So let's get going right off the bat here. We had the pre-show match with Kalisto and Apollo Crews. They had not announced a match up until the day of. So I had no prediction or anything for that particular match. I kind of took a wild guess that it would be Goldust and R-Truth, but they're going to save that for a different time frame. The match itself with the Kalisto and Apollo Crews, pretty good, decent match, not a bad match. Kind of the same way that it ended on their Monday Night Raw match, where Titus O'Neil's kind of barking orders at Apollo Crews, and it causes him to get distracted and lose the match to the Selena Del Sol. Otherwise, decent match. Nothing too spectacular to it. The first match, not the kickoff to the actual pay-per-view. The first match on the pay-per-view was The Miz going up against Dean Ambrose for the Intercontinental title. This is the aspect that I was saying before, that they didn't really, this show wasn't really Extreme Rules. There wasn't much to it that was too extreme to begin with. Even in this match, if Dean Ambrose gets DQ, aka a DQ on Extreme Rules night, he loses the title to go along with it. But looking past the aspect of the name and the pay-per-view itself, the match between Miz and Dean Ambrose I thought was actually really good. It was very well done. Good storytelling on all sides throughout the entire match. You had Miz attempting everything in the beginning of the match to try to get Dean Ambrose DQ'd. It kind of fails, and you see those little tropes throughout the entire match. He's trying to get him DQ'd at any given time. Both of them kind of trade off on figure four submission holds, so they were working the knee for a little bit in the match. They were just going through like a begin, middle, and end type of storyline going with everything. Even the bits at the end where you had Maurice attempting to slap Miz to get Dean Ambrose DQ'd. Referee sees through it and just throws out Maurice. And then Miz also throws Dean Ambrose into the referee and almost gets him DQ'd that way. Now this one it took forever. Like, the ref was like deciding like whether or not he was going to DQ him. He's walking over to the bell area and everything to go along with it. And it was kind of overdone on that one. But this does lead to the end of the match. He's thinking about the DQ, and of course Dean Ambrose has his back turned to the Miz, and he gets hit with a skull-crushing finale. The ref runs back in and counts the pinfall to get the victory. I'm not maybe the biggest fan of the finish, but I thought the action and the storytelling getting to the finish I thought was really well done. I thought it came off really good. I did enjoy this match. I thought it came off really well. Up next, you had a Bayley promo, basically it was a promo setting up the match. You almost wish they had done this on Monday Night Raw or something like that, because this was actually a decent promo from Bayley, basically setting up the match and everything in that sense, saying that she was looking for vengeance for what she said about her family, that she even comes out there and she even drops the whole aspect that this is her dream and everything, and that she's defining the character as wanting to be an inspiration to other people to go along with it. Now, for the match itself, which I'll get back into, they did no favors to Bayley. They did no favors to Bayley on Monday night, and they did no favors to Bayley tonight as well, which I will talk about that a little bit later on. But this promo itself, I'm going to give credit where credit's due. it seemed like they were attempting to change the character and made you feel like it's like, okay, she's going out there to try to get some revenge tonight on Alexa Bliss. But before we get into that match, we did have the mixed tag match with Alicia Fox, Noam Dar, Sasha Banks, and Rich Swann. Match was rather quick. But there was good action. It was a decent match overall, and Rich Swann actually gets a win in his hometown with the Phoenix Splash. But before they got there, like, the other main highlight of the match was Sasha Banks doing the double knee spot off the top rope down to Noam Dar. It really dangerous looking spot. It ended up looking really good as well. But the match as a whole was a rather decent match. It wasn't anything spectacular. And like I said, they broke the whole streak. There's somewhat breaking streaks of having people lose in their hometown. They have Rich Swann win here. And up next, after this match, was Elias Sampson singing a song in Baltimore, basically putting Baltimore down in every way, shape, or form, singing about a beast looming and coming in as well, so a little bit of Brock Lesnar to go along with it. And the crowd was eating this one up. There were some people that were really liking what was going on, but there was a lot of heat going into this one as well. And of course I do like Corey Graves' reactions to everything to go along with it. So yeah, actually a rather good segment. They're using Elias Sampson more. It looks like he's gonna stop being, he's gonna just stop drifting backstage. Obviously he's still the drifter, but he's gonna just stop drifting backstage for the time being. So this brings us to the Bayley Alexa Bliss match. This was the kendo stick on a pole match, and this was pretty much a squash match. They really didn't give much to Bayley in this match at all. Matter of fact, like, they went for the kendo stick really quick, and they got to that spot really quick. It falls down. Eventually, there's a little bit of a rustle and tussle for the kendo stick, and Bayley gets it. She chases Alexa Bliss around, and of course hesitates to use the kendo stick. And then afterwards, basically, Alexa Bliss gets the kendo stick, beats down Bayley pretty much for the rest of the match with it, and then DDT and finish. Watching this match led me to believe one of two things: that they are either de-pushing or burying the Bayley character now. And I'm not saying that they're gonna say that it was a complete failure. There's still a way of saving this down the road. Maybe they're going to have her go through the losing streak and everything like that to try to build her up later. Who knows what they're going to go with there. But in all fairness, I've kind of given the Bayley character on the main roster a little bit of a break, mainly because of what we've seen on NXT and what I've seen on NXT and how they wrote her there. How they wrote Bayley on NXT in the terms of being a relatable character and everything in that sense, and everything to go along with it, was completely different to how they wrote her on the main roster so far. And I've always noticed it. If there was a promo that was at least decent, I would make mention to it. But overall, like I said, the promos were. In the terms of the promos, the programs in general had been all the same. It's like, oh, you're too childlike, you're this, you're that, and they keep just drilling that into your head the entire time. They weren't trying to make her an underdog. They were just trying to treat her like a child for the most part. And I think I've said it a couple other times, but I'm saying it definitely now, is that since she's been on the main roster, they really haven't written Bayley well. And maybe this is going to be their way of trying to reboot the character. I don't know where they're going to go with it, because they do have somebody there who's really good in the ring. And if you've seen, even earlier in the evening, she can cut a decent promo when given the ability to go along with it. But you had seen a lot better stuff down in NXT at that time. So we're going to see where they're going to go with this. But at this point, like I said, this led me to believe into one of two things of how this match is going. They're de-pushing or burying the character, or Bayley got injured inside of the match. Because this match was really quick. And it probably didn't need to be in any way, shape, or form, but that's how it ended up going. So we'll see where they go with everything on this one, because, like I said, they made you feel like, I was like, oh, Bayley's going to try to get a little bit of vengeance in this match, and they could have pulled that off and have her still lose the match in some way, shape, or form, but they didn't go that route at all. They pretty much squashed Bayley tonight on this pay-per-view. So we'll see where they go with everything with that character down the line here. But up next was the Hardys versus Sheamus and Cesaro, and this was a good. I like this cage match, though the rules of the match were very weird. It was an aspect of both people had to escape the cage, so they got rid of pinfalls and submissions and everything in that sense. So both people had to escape the cage either through the door or through the or over the top. So you had a lot of teasing of that, and there was a lot of work with the cage as well in there. I thought it was very well done in the terms of cage match itself. The things where it started getting weird, it was like, okay, Jeff Hardy got out of the cage, but apparently they're making up this rule is like because this left Matt Hardy in a 2-on-1, and he kind of fights back. He's fighting Sheamus and Cesaro, gets beaten down a bit, fights back a bit, but eventually it gets to the point that Jeff feels like he has to come back in. So apparently now he has to redo the whole thing over again and get out of the cage because he decided to re-enter, even though he got out once. But he does, of course, a whisper. He has to. It's like there's a cage, so he has to go off the top of it. Which he does with the Whisper in the Wind. Good looking spot, but jeez, it's like it's one of those givens. It's like there's something high there. Jeff Hardy must go off of it. Type of things. It looked good again, which did lead into the finish of the match as well, where you had Matt trying to drag Jeff out of the ring with him. Again, he had already gotten out, so technically shouldn't have. Matt just had to leave. But they also made the rule. They also made the rule saying that he has to get back out again, and they kind of just came up with that one on the fly to go along with it. At least that's how it felt like. And you had that chase where Cesaro and Sheamus were going over. Matt Hardy, since Jeff kind of took himself out, was trying to get him and Jeff out of the ring at the same time, and Cesaro and Sheamus by about a second. Ends out pulling out the victory, getting down and out of the cage before Matt and Jeff do to finish the match and win the tag team title. So they have Matt and Jeff lose here. Now we'll see if this is going to go somewhere, because a lot of people are thinking that the WWE in some way has already pertained the rights to the broken gimmick for Matt Hardy. And it's just kind of, when are they going to do it? That's how a lot of people think. There's a lot of other rumor mills that are saying otherwise to go along with it. But they were thinking, it's like, okay, they have to introduce this character in some way, shape, or form. So why not have it happen after they lose the tag team titles? Now they've lost the tag team titles. Will they be going into that transformation a little bit? Because obviously you see how Matt Hardy is. He's a little bit... I think he's left himself as torn in some cases on social media and everything in that sense, and he's like torn between the Matt Hardy V1 thing. He keeps throwing up the V1 thing every now and again, and then he goes off and does delete right afterwards and does something broken right afterwards. So he's kind of torn in between this. His V1 and deleting and everything to go along with it, and it'll be interesting to see if this begins the transformation into a full broken character again. So this leads us into the main event. Not into the main event. Why am I thinking about that? Why am I thinking about the main event? Because the next match itself was the Cruiserweight title match, which was Austin Aries versus Neville. I like this match. I know it's not your typical cruiserweight match. I know it was a submission match. I felt both of these guys worked this match really well. You had different types of submissions going on throughout the entire match. Good teasing of both guys potentially losing the match right at one juncture or the other to the main submission hold. I thought they both worked the match really well, and I found it rather enjoyable. But then again, I was probably looking at that one in a different perspective. I wasn't looking at it as a perspective of just them, going one route with something. And by one route, I mean like, the cruiserweight matches always have to have high flying and everything in that sense. Obviously, they did do a few spots here and there, but it wasn't just that throughout the entire match. Both of them understood what match they had and worked it really well, and I thought it came off. Really well in the end. And the ending to the match with Neville doing the red arrow and then going into the Rings of Saturn, I thought was really good as well to go along with. So again, I personally enjoyed this match. I thought it came off really well. Both sides working the different submissions throughout the entire match did end out. I thought it came off really good. I thought their action when they weren't doing the submission holds was good, and I thought they came off really well in this match. So this does lead us to the main event of the night, which was the Fatal 5-Way. Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, Samoa Joe, Bray Wyatt, Roman Reigns. And oh boy, these guys went all out on this match. It didn't feel like the action really stopped at any given time. It didn't feel like there was really a down point too much in the matches themselves, with the exception of needing to sell certain things here and there to go along with it. And by that, it's like, okay, somebody's selling something, but you have these guys keeping the action going. Like, there was never really a stop in the action. A couple really good spots. The frog splash off the top rope from Seth Rollins to Bray Wyatt on the table looked really good. Roman Reigns spearing both Finn Balor and Samoa Joe through the barricade, while Samoa Joe had the coquina clutch on Finn Balor, also came off really well. Good finish. What I thought was a good finish to go along with it, and just overall the match itself, I thought came off really well. Like, even at the beginning of the match, you had I think Finn Balor teaming off with Bray Wyatt. Because there was rumors of Finn Balor and Bray Wyatt having a feud here in the very near future, or like when Finn initially came back to Raw and everything in that sense, and Bray came over, and Joe and Rollins, they both start fighting. They brawl to the outside. You just have Roman eating the booze in, which also I forgot to make mention. You did start seeing that with Bayley tonight as well. There were audible boos. And this was probably one of the first times that it happened. And like I said, with the way the character's been written on Raw, I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked right now. I had been a fan of the character way back in NXT and everything in that sense. But back to the main event. Back to the main event on that one. Just eating in all the booze, just waiting for the fight to come to him, and eventually, obviously, it does. And just like I said, the action throughout the entire match just kept going. It was great. Well done main event. I like the finish too. You have Roman. You had it look like Roman Reigns was gonna take the victory, and then it was him and Finn after he had speared both Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins. It looked like he was going for one more spear on Finn, and Finn takes control with a sling blade, drop kicks, coup de grace. Looks like he's about to get the victory. Joe comes in and puts the coquina clutch on Finn Balor, which he ends up passing out, and Samoa Joe picks up the victory. And I know I picked Finn Balor to win this match, but the aspect that, like, when Joe came in to WWE, like, I had said this when Brock had come back, I was like, I wish if it was ever possible that we could get Samoa Joe versus Brock Lesnar. And then Joe came in, he was part of NXT. It's like, they could technically do it if they like Joe enough. And lo and behold, they're doing it. We get to see the match. We get to see the match with Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar, and I just feel like the way that Brock can work and the way that Samoa Joe can work inside the ring. It'll be interesting to see how his promos come off with Paul Heyman as well. like, I'm very intrigued in this match, and I hope it's not just one of those squash matches in the end for Brock Lesnar down the line. Hopefully we get something really good out of it, because you have a lot there to bring in a very, very good match, and I really want to see how they pull this one off. And hopefully that Brock will be into this match and doesn't want to just do Suplex City and leave or anything in that sense, because both of these guys can really work a good match, and both of them kind of have similar styles where they could be big brawling type guys and everything, and we can see where they go with it from there on in. That's my only downside to it, is that there's a potential that Brock doesn't really want to do too much with this match and just wants to be suplex and done. But they have the potential of having a really good match here. And this was like one of those matches like, I want to see this. I want to see this. And now we get it. We're going to get it at a pay-per-view called Great Balls of Fire. Which, by the way, WWE, you didn't fail me on this one. You got the song to go along with it for the promo. I'll give you credit for that one. I'll give you credit for that one. So, overall, like I said, I thought this was actually a pretty good show. I mean, obviously the aspect of it being called Extreme Rules, and you didn't really have too much craziness to the show. You had chair shots, and you had the chair shots and everything to go along with it, but Extreme Rules should be, every match has a real stipulation that allows you to kind of go a little bit overboard or something to go along with it, which you didn't really get in this particular show in that sense. But overall, the matches themselves, with the exception of the Bayley Alexa Bliss match, which was pretty much just a squash, I thought they were all pretty good. They were pretty good matches, and it was a rather enjoyable show for the most part. It was just, in the end, you kind of do leave yourself wondering, it was like, well, they called it Extreme Rules. It really didn't go that extreme, so that kind of takes it down a little bit. But overall, like the actual ring work and everything to go along with it, I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was a pretty good show on that side of it. So with that being said, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this, and I also hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace out. Have a good one.